The soft side, providing safety, comfort, and beauty in a place there never was.
We would like to extend our heartfelt thanks to Total Max Homes for being the title partner of Gusto with GD Season 3 Business Edition.
So welcome to the third season of Gusto with GD, Business Edition, and I'm your host GD Singh with another episode of inspiring conversation and insightful discussion with some of the brightest minds in the business world. As we embark on this new season, our goal remains the same: to ignite passion, inspire creativity, and share valuable knowledge that can help you succeed in your business endeavors. So sit back, relax, and get ready to be inspired. Whether you are a budding entrepreneur, a seasoned business professional, or simply someone with a passion of learning, Gusto with GD is here to inform, entertain, and inspire you all. Without further ado, let's invite our guest for today's episode. Our first guest for this episode is a visionary leader from the iconic city of New York in the United States. With a career spanning over 3 decades in AV, broadcasting, and events, he is the founder and managing director of WOW Industry. His commitment to innovation and creativity has made him a pioneer on the intersection of IT and media. Please welcome Dr. Vincent Allen on the sets of Gusto with GD. Our next guest is joining us from the cultural capital of India, Kolkata, as we all know, West Bengal. She is a stalwart in the field of corporate law and insolvency. With her unwavering dedication and belief in learning from mistake, she has navigated the complexities of her field with grace and excellence. Please give a warm welcome to Dr. Mamta Binani. And our third guest is a true innovator in bathroom safety and comfort, the founder of Hunt Innovation LLC, hailing from the Louisville metropolitan area. His groundbreaking products, Soft Side, is revolutionizing the way we experience bathing, making it safer and more enjoyable for everyone. Let's welcome Mr. Darwin Hunt on the sets of Gusto with GD. So welcome everyone on the sets of Gusto with GD. It's all about your guts, glory, and gusto. So let's make this season of Gusto with GD the best one yet. Fine. Yes. So I'll start with few questions, and to start off with, we have with us Dr. Vincent Allen. With a remarkable career at the intersection of IT, audiovisual, broadcasting, and events, what inspired you to start your own company, and what sets WOW apart in the industry?
Yeah, sure. So I've kind of always been involved in this field. Growing up, my mother was in the theater in the United States. Everywhere we lived, we moved around a lot. because my father was military. But so I was just around the field my entire life, and so I've always done the work, had the opportunity to really work on a lot of really exciting projects. But then when my daughter Naomi was born in 2014, I really sort of transitioned out of production and moved to doing more corporate, business to business style stuff. And then over the course of her life, her showing an interest in the field and wanting to learn how to do some stuff was really what motivated to start my company, VAV Industries, because as anyone who's ever done anything technical probably knows, is women aren't treated well in those
How did the
industries.
name VAV came?
So VAV, it's VAAV, it's literally my initials backwards.
Wow.
So it's VAAV, and the tagline is "We know AV backwards." So when you see the tagline on the business cards on the website, then it makes sense right away, right? So it's like in America, there's this expression like I know it like the back of my hand, or I know it backwards,
Nice.
and so it's the idea is it's meant to connote the idea that we know what we're doing, right? So just to put a bow on what inspired me was my daughter. And her being born and her showing an interest and an aptitude and realizing that as she's a little girl now, but she won't always be, right? And that as a woman, it's sometimes harder to get the respect that you deserve, and you have rightfully earned from the powers that be, especially at a technical field. When it's Christmas time or whatever, you go to the store shopping for your kids, and you see how things are aligned color-wise. You got all the boy colors are all tools and cars and toy motorbikes, and the things that are like the pinks and the purples, all the girl colors are, what is it? It's makeup kits, it's dolls, it's toy kitchens, it's all that kind of stuff, and that encourages the dynamic that we have now, where you have a significant amount of people in engineering fields who are men. Right, and then if a woman tries to break in, people look at you sideways.
But we all have to be very, very neutral nowadays, because we are all supporting United Nations Sustainable Development Goals.
No, 100%. And so the inspiration came from wanting to do everything I could to fix it for her, but also all of our girls, right? Because it's 2024. It's been time.
So you're gender neutral, right?
Yeah.
A big thumbs up for that, huh?
Thank you.
Good, great.
So Alan, as technology continues to evolve rapidly and with the use of AI making waves all across the globe, how do you think the merging of technology with media will affect your business, particularly TV and the film industry?
Well, I think that the idea that technology and production is just starting to converge is a misnomer. It's been converging for 20 or 30 years. Like when I first started working in television, you couldn't edit on a computer.
Yes,
right? Everything was analog. Everything was shot on 8mm or reel to reel and all this kind of stuff, and we were editing on SVHS or these kinds of things. And
so you're talking about which year?
This is like probably 95, 96, and then when digital video came in, you started to see it moving in that direction, and then everything eventually became on a hard drive.
And now everything is AI.
Yes, and so it's been moving in that way for a long time, and so I think a lot of these media companies are well positioned and prepared for it, because if something's streaming on Netflix or whatever, it's already in the cloud. It's already digitized and up on and not just one server, but many. I think as it relates to AI, I think people are shook up about it, but you live long enough and you see this conversation happen again and again and again. If you're more than 20, we've seen this conversation when cell phones came in, right?
Yes,
and when the internet came in, and then social media, and again and again and again.
Everything has evolved over time.
Technology is going to change it, and it's going to take the jobs and this and that. And the reality is that there's always going to be a place for expert and skilled practitioners. That's really the truth in it.
Very well said. I think you articulate the words quite well.
Well, thank you. Yeah. And I like how you actually evolved from floppy disks and just regular VHS to the iCloud, I mean the clouds. You know, I mean that right there just tells
And things
that
have
little story
changed
tells you
now
how we've
after
evolved.
AI. I think we all will agree.
But happy to hear that skilled manforce is still in his mind, because people say AI is going to take over everybody and everything.
Well, little anecdote
That's
about that real
nice.
quick. When digital photography first came in, right? Kodak owned the patent for that,
Yeah.
and they shelved it, right? And where I'm from in New York, a place in upstate New York called Rochester, New York, is where Kodak's headquarters was. Rochester was a thriving community. Now it's dead because they didn't move on that.
Yeah.
But then when it finally did come in, everyone said that it was going to kill the photography business. That you weren't, that professional photographers that had all this money invested in cameras and film and lenses and dark rooms and all these things, that it was going to, and that's not what happened, right? And then when you started getting high quality photo capability on your mobile phones, everyone's like, oh, it's going to kill the photography business because no one's going to hire a wedding photographer anymore. But that has not, in fact, proven to be the case. Lots of people will do an Instagram hashtag thing for their wedding or their event, but all that's really done is help further delineate who's a good, warm, qualified lead for your photography business and who doesn't have the money. And there are still thousands and thousands of people all over the world that make a really good living running a really nice business, doing a wedding photography business or an event photography business or as photojournalists. And so it changed things, but not really, right? I mean, there's still lots of great photographers out there, right? It just sort of changed the way you approach the business. And my sense of it is, with the AI stuff, it's still very immature. It's going to grow, and we're going to get to that same place at some point.
Now I think, we all will agree, because we can relate to the COVID-19 situation which was going through, and the last couple of years were really very bad for all the business people, and typically, when you talk about broadcast media and audio visuals, that was badly affected. So on this note, with the rise of remote work and virtual events, how has Valve industry adapted its services to meet the changing needs of client in the post-pandemic era?
Yeah, sure. So I mean, with us specifically, we did really well during the pandemic, to be honest with you. I mean, because at that time, everybody needed a broadcast engineer or an audiovisual engineer. Right, and so everyone was trying to do something, but they didn't have the ability to be together like we are now. And I think what happened during the pandemic is it's not like new technologies were invented. This stuff was there. It just accelerated the timelines for a lot of companies. A perfect example of this is Zoom, the video conferencing company.
Oh, yes.
Right? Their market share.
Everybody was on Zoom.
Yeah, right. No, exactly. So their market share exploded by like 1,000-fold. But what Zoom was doing, most people aren't aware of this. But I would work very closely with Zoom during the pandemic. They were iterating their software on a 3-week cycle. So every 3rd week there was a new version of the software with new features out. Most people aren't aware of that. They funneled huge amounts of money into it so that they could continue to work with people and work with companies to help them support their business. And I was actually running AV at Weight Watchers at the time. And we worked with Zoom very closely to embed the Zoom API into the Weight Watchers iPhone and Android applications so that they could have a virtual experience, which they had never done before. And that's actually, they got, my team and the rest of Weight Watchers got nominated for 3 Webbies.
Wow.
And we got recognized in 2 special technical achievement categories. And that virtual studio interface is now a permanent part of their go-to-market strategy. And that's something that we innovated at the time. And we've continued to do that kind of work. We built out systems and ran the Greece's bicentennial celebration. Was held in New York, and we did that. We did a similar thing for Columbia University, their law school, their virtual clinics, and all kinds of things like this, where we built out technology to help people do remote teleprompting, remote directing. We have a product we built called the Skytron, which allows you to see a person's image in the teleprompter from anywhere in the world, leveraging off-the-shelf parts if that's what you want to do. And we've just continued to help people figure out how to do that and figure out how to build systems in their companies to allow people to work flexibly and to do things remotely when they need to. Yeah. Right?
In fact, so much so that I understand for a Coca-Cola company, we may say Coke is a form of a cold drink and we just call it Coca-Cola means cold drink. Yeah. Like for example, VC was actually started knowing by Zoom.
Yeah.
let's get into a Zoom call. It was not a VC call. Let's get into a Zoom
Right.
call. So that was the extent.
And that's why majority of the broadcasting companies, they had the majority of the share during the pandemic. But I think people who knew the right way to start up during that era, they all made their way ahead.
Absolutely. No,
First
absolutely.
mover advantage is definitely there.
I mean, no, absolutely. There's definitely an advantage to being the first in, but there's also an advantage to not being
Yeah,
the first
I'm
in.
sure
Like
you put it
Apple
this way.
is the best at this in the world. Like they are never first to market with a thing, right? Like they just released their VR headset, the Vision Pro. But what most people don't
amazing.
realize, if you read their patent documents, they started working on that headset 20 years ago.
Oh.
That was one of Steve Jobs' babies, when he was still alive, right? He's been gone for quite a number of years. They were working on that for 20 years, right? So there also is an advantage to kind of sitting back,
I understand.
seeing what the market does, seeing who's doing it wrong, saying, oh, let's not do it that way, and then doing something else. And the advantage that we have is the experience and the ability to do both, right? We've innovated a lot of things.
And get
but
the
we-
learnings.
But we've also, exactly, 100%. We've also sat back and gone, that didn't work, let's
Yeah.
do something else.
Nice. I think we've all got a very engaging message from him, and I think moving on, I have a question which was pondering in my mind. That while we are talking backstage, you mentioned that your daughter Naomi inspired you to build a company that addresses issue of diversity and equality in the tech and media. So can you share some specific initiative or strategies of your company that has implemented to promote diversity and inclusivity? Because I think there will be a lot of engaging audience which would like to know about this.
Sure, no, 100%. So everyone that we hire, because as a production company, you're not always staffed up, right? You'll have camera people or editors or whatever that work per event or per shoot. So all of our staff are either women or people of color, right? And which is a big thing in our country, right? As Derwin could speak to. But also additionally to that, we have some partnerships that we've been working on, and we've developed, which we'll be rolling out soon, a curriculum to teach young people these kinds of skills. So, all the stuff we see around us, we've got lights and cameras and sound and, all of these kinds of things, where I've developed a curriculum that sort of distills it to the best stuff, right? And to be able to teach young people how to do this well. There's a lot of people practicing in the field, but there's a significant amount of stuff that's out there available, like on the internet or whatever, is just not good quality, or it's just wrong, right? And so we've built this curriculum to be able to educate people and to be able to, we're building some internships and things of that nature, so that you have young people not only that learn the textbook material, but from industry experts, but then they walk away with a portfolio, with a couple of productions under their belt, so that then they can get out there and begin to look for work if that's what they want to do, or use that to bolster a university application.
Yeah, so you're
Wow.
streamlining the whole
Yep.
process and giving them a blueprint.
That's kudos to him
100%.
for this. Kudos to you for this.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I think, probably, do you remember any moment of project that significantly influenced your approach to media and production and broadcasting for that matter?
Yeah, sure. I mean, there's so many, right? But I mean, there have been a number of moments throughout my life. But I think that one of the seminal moments for me was I started very young. I started working very, very young in the field. I was actually in high school.
What age, if I can ask?
10, 11 years old.
My God.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so, I mean, and at that age, right, you're not, thank you, you're not, doing a lot of really extravagant stuff. It amounts to like gaff taping stuff down and laying out cables or cutting gels for the lights or whatever, but you start and you keep moving. And, I think one of the most seminal moments for me was when I was in high school. Myself and a couple other buddies of mine, we wrote some grants. Like we, as high school students, wrote the grants, got a bunch of money from the state. This was in Alaska, and we built a TV station within the school district, and we were covering everything, all the high school stuff, basketball games, football games, etc. But then all of the civic events and etc. So we were covering statewide elections. Like major networks, ABC, NBC, CBS, were pulling our footage
Wow.
right? And
Kudos to that.
Yeah.
Thank you. And so that was like kind of the moment for me where I was like, okay, like I saw where the technology was headed from a convergence standpoint, you know, years ahead, and I was like, okay, we can make this happen. And then I just continued to pursue it, and over the course of a life, you have a thousand moments that inspire you to keep going.
And that's where we say, be inspired, be passionate. And that's what it's all about. you know.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So I think on this note, I think probably we have had a good chat from you when we got inspired from the business which you do. But what are your future goals and aspiration for Wow Industries, and how do you plan to continue making a positive impact in the society?
Absolutely. So there's a couple of things we're doing right now that are in the development stage. It's going to be a little while before they're available, but we're developing a smart teleprompter, right? So that to combat Zoom fatigue, right? And it's like you said before.
So you are using AI in this, or
not AI specifically. So what happens with Zoom fatigue, right?
It's very high.
It's a super big
Yeah.
problem, and the reason it's a big problem is because our brains don't know how to deal with it. And so you'll be sitting there, and if I'm sitting here and in front of you and we're having a face-to-face conversation, it's very apparent to your brain where I should be looking. I'm
Yeah.
looking you in the eyes, we're having a nice conversation. But if I'm at home in front of a laptop, I'm looking at the screen because I'm trying to look you in the face, but then you on the other side, it doesn't look like I'm looking you in the eye, so then I look at the camera, and then I look up, down, and up, and down, and up. And then eventually what happens is everybody, the vanity that's inherent to all of us, we all just end up staring at ourselves in the self-view like a narcissist, right? And we started to look at this, and when we developed the Skytron technology over the pandemic, we started to look at it and try to figure out how you could solve that, and is there a group of people in the world professionally that stare at screens all day and stare at cameras all day and don't have this problem? And the answer is there is. Broadcasters, newscasters are staring down the barrel of a teleprompter and a camera all day long, and they don't have that problem. And the reason they don't have that problem is twofold. One, they're looking in the well, yes, but they're looking in a teleprompter, which is a reflection, right? So it's indirect light, so the strain is not as significant on your eyes. But they're also not doing this up-down thing all day long. They're getting the words or the person's image in the teleprompter, and that's significantly easier. So we're in the process of developing a product that people can place in their home that can either pair with a laptop or a PC, or be standalone, so that they can have a device that solves some of those problems. And so that's still a ways away.
I'll ask him a question. You should devise something to grab the attention, because nowadays with Reels and Insta, the attention span is 75 seconds. Correct. How are you there on a Zoom call for hours together?
Right. I mean, and so you're absolutely right. Our attention, there's a lot of what they call the squirrel effect, or squirrel syndrome, where it's like, ooh, squirrel. And where nobody has attention span anymore, and so it's an absolute problem in our world today. But a lot, just doom scrolling, right? Just always. But so we have to solve for that. And where we're headed from a technology standpoint is within the next couple of years, everything's going to be in VR anyway. So it's kind of so some of these, everything is about to change. Like the amount of companies, just that people that I know, right, that are developing things in this space are high. So it's changing, but we have to be able to do this, and that's why we're building this smart teleprompter. Is we have to do this in a holistic way that is going to solve for some of the downsides to it in relation to our eye health, our mental health, all these kind of things. And if we can solve for a little bit of that, it makes people's lives a little better. And that's ultimately the goal, is to make.
Fantastic. I think Dr. Vincent Allen, you have taken all my words, and I think possibly there is a lot of inspiration which I believe my audience will really like to understand from you. And I think we're going to enjoy this session with you more. But prior to that, now I have another guest. So moving on, I think I'll move on with you, Dr. Mamta, now. So thank you so much, Alan.
Of course.
Big cheers.
Cheers. I think he outperformed all the questions. Because I think you know your business much better than what we researched.
Sure. It's
Right.
very enlightening. too, so
Absolutely,
thank you.
absolutely.
Appreciate it.
So over to you, Dr. Mamta now. As the National Past President of the Institute of Company Secretary of India, ICSI to be very precise, and India's first registered insolvency professional, you achieved remarkable success in your career.
Thank you so much for having me in the show, and I must say that it's an excellent initiative that your good self has taken. So thank you very much from all of our sides.
Yes.
I'll be very honest, because I think this show is all about brevity, all about integrity, and I presume you have a lie detector too. So I'll not get into
I'll have to
offense.
search one.
So I'll
But I
not
think
get
it's all
into
in our
that.
heart.
Absolutely.
So as long as you can say from your heart, I think I don't have to do the lie detection.
So on the lighter side, that was my journey I will not say I'm still successful, because believe you me, I still feel that I'm very, very downplayed and I'm very underutilized. And that's a fact.
Underutilized? I see you wearing a lot of hats.
Yeah,
don't
but
tell me
still
that.
I feel that, there's lots that I can do. And why I want to do is because I always have felt that the nation is at a cusp where the only mantra is development. And when so much development is going to happen, it is all of us who will bathe in that development. And why on earth a human being just do it alone? I always have believed in the fact that if I develop, I want 10 people with me to also develop. And 10 is just a number that I've said for the purpose of mentioning this. So I think, God chooses a very few people from the entirety who can be handpicked and said that, okay, you are my Messiah. Go forward and pick people with you and walk the tightrope and let them realize their own potential. So I personally believe that I've been just chosen by the Almighty, because if you see, the Institute of Company Secretaries is now almost 55, is going to be 55 years old. And I'm the second lady president
Wow.
of the,
Fantastic.
thank you so much, of the nation. But I don't take pride in saying that I'm the lady president, so I should get some, some crown, etc. No, because in this world we believe in equity. We don't believe that, lady hai, so, she should get some extra mileage, etc. Nothing of the sort. Why I say this is because our country has now realized that if you really need to grow the GDP of the nation, it's very important that the very vital force in the form of female and the other genders have to be brought into the mainstream. And if that is the thought, I think, our parents, our in-laws have also started getting that psychological feeling from the television that it's good that they also start spending time on work rather than just chatting at home. So I have been very fortunate by my family, that they allowed me to work and they allowed me to study. I did everything after my marriage.
Fantastic, fantastic. I think on this note, I have one question which...
I fear your questions, Dr. Judy Singh.
But I'll still ask you one. What inspired you to pursue a career in law and corporate governance, which is a very tough thing for women, for, especially I think compliance side and all this. So what inspired you actually?
So people say governance is abstract, but I don't believe in it. It's both actually. It's objective as well as subjective.
Wow.
So something which is both, it always attracts me a lot. Something which is purely objective is not my cup of tea. I've never been good in maths because that was purely formula based. But I am always good at when I have to wear a thinking hat. That attracts me a lot. So governance is something which comes from within, because I in my own life has been very governed and very disciplined. So I think that went with my own psychology, because that's what I am. And I always believe in saying the truth and all that. So my friends used to say, Satyavadi Harishchandra hai ye, So I said, okay, that's what I am.
To our international audience, she's saying that, she's always going to be truthful.
So it went with me. It was natural of me to pick that up. But law is also extended logic. I believe in logic.
But it's true, very, very true, because all of us, we have a moment wherein we have these truth and lie moments, right? But it's all about how you sail through it, right? So can you share a challenging case or a project, I think, that you have worked upon and how you navigated through it? Because I think, that will be very exciting for the audience to know, right? Because as a person in your fraternity, you might have had a lot of cases in front of you. So if you can remember and recollect and share.
Yes. Who forgets challenging moments? So don't say recollect. It's absolutely live in my memory and absolutely vivid too. So I'll tell you, I'm the first insolvency professional of the country, and restructuring space.
That's again a thing which means.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I say this with humility and not for getting this, but honestly speaking, restructuring has always been a space which is led by men. I don't know why, because men have been doing it forever and women have still not understood its potential. That's the only reason probably, but all thank you to them too. So in this restructuring space, I entered as the country's first insolvency professional, and I was faced with the first case in the country. Okay, and I'll quickly say it in short because time is also of essence. So in that case, insolvency is all about resurrection and rehabilitation. When a company is dying, it's a dying patient, it is put into ICU, and now you've been allocated the work to pull that person out of the ICU and bring him into the mainstream of the economy. Okay, so imagine that person is already dying and in deathbed, and then you shake a skeleton and you say, okay, I'm giving you muscles, I'm giving you blood, and I'm bringing you back to the economy. So that's the job of an insolvency professional. So when that happened, what happened was there was a huge haircut that company went through, because when you're resurrecting a company, which means he doesn't have flesh, he doesn't have blood, right. So which means he's only given a 5 cents instead of 100, because he is devoid of so many things. So the entire country started shouting that Mamta Binani has solved the case, but at a 95% haircut. Okay, and that was the first case of the country. So entire parliament started talking that what the hell, what is happening? Everybody started shouting, and it was a talk of the town. It went to Singapore, it went to US, it went across the world that India has bought this new law, but look at this professional, she's bought the case to 95% haircut. And I was under a media trial. Huge media trial went against me, but believe you me, the government stood steadfast with me. I went through all the court hearings, and everywhere I emerged victorious. So that was
congratulations. So coming back on this note, I think Mamta ji, I would like to have one more question for you. You have been recognized with several prestigious awards, including the Tejaswini Award and the IWIRC Woman of the Year in Restructuring. How do these accolades inspire you to continue making an impact in your field?
$1 million question, and I must say, dil mange more. But having said that, this reinstates one's belief in yourself. And some people, get motivated by the green notes.
Yeah.
Some people get motivated by a pat on the back, and I am one who really get motivated by the pat on the back, because I know that money will come automatically, because that's a side effect. So if you're working, that will come, that will not get hidden for long. So when accolades in terms of awards comes in, I always have firmly believed that this is not my recognition. It is a recognition that even a girl who comes from a very medium standard family, who did not have access to too many tuition teachers, etc., who started working from the age of 14. I started giving tuitions out of my own. That was not
so
the
we
need.
have him starting early at the age of 10 or 11?
Yeah.
And now you at 14?
Yeah.
What age did you start with?
Don't say 9.
If I could just jump in, I wanted to ask you, Mamta, a question, because we were talking, off camera about sort of your work in compliance and some of these things, and it's such an industry that's dominated by old white men, mostly, right?
Yes.
And I was just curious as to what your experience like that it is, both being a woman and a person of color, but then also most of these, like the law of the land is GDPR, right? Which is so based in the European Union.
Right.
What is your experience like trying to navigate and being like the only practitioner at a time in your country? What has your experience been like trying to navigate through all of that?
I'll be very honest.
Sure.
The answer to this is only knowledge.
Sure.
Yep. You have to be a repertoire of knowledge, and you should know how to really bring it forth, because you may be full of wisdom, etc., but one should know how to express it well. And I think there I have an edge. God has been kind that I've never fallen short of vocabulary, and have never fallen short of the expression mode. And I'm a very fearless kind of a person, but yet very humble is what I understand for myself. It's not a self-praise, but I have always believed that a tree which has a lot of fruits is not stiff, it has to be soft, it has to be nice, it has to give shadow to so many people. So I believe that I'm a mother, I am a friend. I believe that I want to be that tree under which or with which a lot of people can grow, and I can also grow with them.
Fantastic. I think you have summed up so nicely, and it has been a wonderful listening to you. But before I end up with you, I have a final question for you. You are known for an optimistic approach to life. How has the mindset helped you overcome challenges in your career?
Actually, not only in my career, even in my personal life. I mean, I'm sure all of us have our own stories, true stories, sometimes very frightful also. I think it's only optimism that helps us to sail through. And if I may really tell you, the fire in the belly has to be your own fire. People can just motivate you or pat you once, maximum twice. But at the third instance, it has to be you alone who just have to feel that zing in yourself.
Right. That's what I always tell
find a
people.
purpose for
Motivation comes
yourself.
from within.
And think that you are here for a purpose. And maybe you will not get a human life again. So if this precious human life has been endowed by the Almighty on you, it is only our own responsibility to live it full and to live it king size, or should I say queen size? Because I'm queen. So that's what, I've always been a person who's very self-motivated, and I've never feel downtrodden, and some dark days has come. I've always believed that this has come to show me the bright light ahead.
Fantastic. I think, we all agree to what you said, and there are always ups and downs, but, something which keeps you going is what is passion all about. Yes. So on this note, I think, I would like to move on to you, Darwin. Can I start with all you permissions? Because I think we see you wearing red, orange, black. It's two vibrant colors, and I think it's all talking about your passion now. So it's the time to hear passion from Mr. Darwin Hunt. So my first question, what inspired you to create SoftSide, and how does it address the issue of bathroom safety?
Good question. The truth of it is, it wasn't some elaborate thing, and I'm very humbled to be on this panel with such excellent thinkers and people successful in their own right. Mine truly comes from what they would say is a eureka phenomenon. It's an idea that it's very elementary in nature. I literally just thought I saw someone sit a pair of clothing on the side of a tub at my brother's house, and I thought to myself, why do people do that? Then I remembered the Holiday Inns used to do that, put towels on the side to show their namesake, and I always thought they're always on the ground when I come into it, when I check into a hotel. So I thought, if somebody's going to do something, why not do something where that towel stays on there permanently until you want to take it off? And then at that moment, I started thinking of all the times that I banged my shin or my knee up against the edge of the tub getting in or out of the bathtub, and I thought, wait a minute, why not make that area safe while trying to beautify the bathroom with a towel. So it took a lot of research and so forth. And I think, as you said, that's where passion comes in. I asked a lot of questions, and one of the things I learned along the way is that you don't ask people about how good your idea is to get a compliment. You ask those questions to get the objectives. And when you do that, you learn from those objectives, you modify your idea, and you cultivate an idea, because, you know, new ideas that come from nothing, usually when somebody invents something, it comes from a modification of something else. But when you come up with something out of thin air that never existed before, you have to know that you got to look and search out those objectives so that when you do a presentation for someone, it eliminates it. So I remember the first presentation I did, I had so many hotel owners just objecting on so many different levels, and I felt like such a failure. And then I realized it's not being a failure, it's taking that and understanding how to make it better to eliminate the objections. So when you do start to sell, it's an easy sell. I came up with this phrase that I always said to myself: dreams are merely a series of unanswered questions. Find the solution to those questions, and all your dreams become a reality, no matter what it is. So, and that's where that came from. So then the journey went from that to me trying to be able to start my own, and I did a lot of things with my own finances and so forth. And I almost lost everything trying to have it manufactured. And so we used to see these inventor shows all the time. And every time I would show an inventor my product, they wanted to put it on television, on American Inventor back on ABC back in the day. So, but we used to see all these people that would sacrifice everything because they're so passionate about what they did, lose their homes, marriages, family, and I didn't want to be one of those people. So if you're going to have that passion, be passionate, but be very methodical in the way you move. And so in doing so, I realized I needed to take a step back. I wanted my kids to have that childhood. I wanted them to be able to understand or experience a childhood that I only dreamed of. So in doing that, I realized when my second daughter, my oldest daughter, Lauren, had graduated, my second daughter was already getting ready to go to college, and then my youngest daughter, Maya, was already a sophomore in high school. And I thought to myself, you know, we've tried to do this thing. I've tried to do this thing before and almost lost everything, including my mortgage. And then it hit me just like that. I thought to myself, I've got to reintroduce my brand. So I woke up one day 2 weeks after that thought process had processed itself through. And I thought, it was another eureka phenomenon. I woke up at 3:48 in the morning, and I don't even know why I did this. It was a profound moment that I really can't experience, I can't express. But I even got up and took a selfie of myself in the bed, and I put on there that moment of complete clarity. And I said, great things are going to follow, stay tuned. And I even posted it. Thank you. And so from there, I went back to the drawing board, remodified everything, and the first thing I had to do was find a manufacturer. Found the manufacturer, got things going. I've done surveys all over the country. I actually went through 16, 17 different states doing surveys with people about my product to also further educate myself on the brand, as well as with the hotel industry. And I found out that there's such a big need that even in the process, a lot of the information that's coming out now, I already knew 15 years ago. But right now, the CDC just put out a report on ABC that says 170,000 people are rushed to the ER every single year in the United States due to slips and falls related to bathtubs only. And that's only for 16-year-olds and up. That's not even including kids. So of those 170,000 people that have slips and falls rushed to the ER every year annually, 40,000 are admitted into the ER for severe injuries. And this is also one of the, it's arguably the number one place where hip injuries come from for the elderly. So right now we're going to have about 55% of the population in the U.S. is going to be over the age of 56. Navy veteran, Army, veterans, elderly, as well as people going through rehabilitation. Dementia is on the rise. So there's a lot of people that need that extra assistance when they're getting in and out of bathtubs. And the biggest problem we've had is that there's been no solution to slips and falls related to bathtubs. There's always been this campaign to try to eliminate it with slip agents, grab bars, and things of that nature. But that's been proven that grab bars actually add to the injury. So now they don't.
Correct. Sometimes, you end up banging your head on that. Yeah.
So they've removed those just as they have with slip agents, which leaves everyone vulnerable again. So then there's been a desperate need in the hospitality industry to remove bathtubs to curtail the litigations that they've been following. And the problem with that is the CDC comes out a report and says showers are not the solution. Because if you think about it from a common sense point of view, when someone has limited mobility, elderly, or going through rehabilitation, when they're in a shower, they're on their feet on porcelain, fiberglass, or any kind of slippery agent. And they're on their feet completely immersed in water. You've created a huge, bad environment for accidents to happen. So when they're tripping, as I said, it's just carelessness. Doesn't have anything to do with the bathtub. Carelessness is just tripping. When they trip over that shower lip, they're falling at twice the distance as they would with a bathtub, so the injuries are worse. So it's been proven that the showers are not a solution. But not only that, people who have done these things, they've found that, of course, everyone's happy when they've had a major remodeling thing in their bathroom. Everything's new, it looks good, it's different. But 6 months later, they're finding out that the ether's worn off, and they realize they've got a one-dimensional bathroom. So now not only do they have a one-dimensional bathroom, they can't relax in the bathroom. Now we know statistically 95% of the time people take showers. It's the psychological peace of mind you have that in the event that you want to take a relaxing bath, you can soak in the tub, you can just relax and take a hot bath. And you can't do that with a shower. So even if you were to
I think we can all quite relate to this because I think it's a common problem, and I believe Vincent and Mamta both will also agree to what you're saying. And I think when you envisioned this, I think it was because of the problem which people are facing.
It's a service to mankind, Jeevan.
Absolutely. So on this note itself, can you share the story behind obtaining the official patent for soft side, and what does it mean to you?
Well, through my journey, I've also noticed that a lot of people say they had this great idea, but they did nothing with it, and then someone else came up with it. An example, a guy told me he came up with the idea for the scoop poop for cat litter, He thought it was a great idea. He never did nothing with it. He said about 5 years later, someone came up with it, and it became a successful business. So for me, I knew right away I wanted to do a patent. The first time I tried to do a patent, as I said earlier, ABC wanted to put my product on their show on American Inventor. I went to an attorney, and they told me I had to pay a certain amount of money to do a patent search. And then I found out that I said, so I can just Google that. And he said, no, the attorneys can go into the patent office and see the things that are going to be published but are not yet published to see if you have merit on your application. It made sense. I said, so what happens then? They said, then you'll pay for a full patent. And I said, okay, great. So I did that hoping that there was something like it because I knew I was going to have to embark on this journey. Turns out there was nothing like it. I went on ahead and filed a patent. The patent had been in play for about 2 years before I got it. It said it's going to take about 2 years. And about the time that it was supposed to be patented, I called the attorney and said, listen, ABC wants me to be able to show them my patent was filed before they air my product. They couldn't give it to me. They actually showed me that there was nothing like it. But then they gave me a book, and this is something for everybody to know. They gave me a book with nothing in it that resembled my product. But when I went to them after I told them about the show, they literally gave me my exact same book back with the same drawings I had that somebody else had. And I said, well, what happened with that? I said, why didn't you find that when I applied? They said, so I had my marketing team do some research, and they said it was somebody who actually sat on the board of the patents office. I said, is this what you have? They said, yes. I said, great. That design does not work. I scrapped that a long time ago. But I was smart enough to not go back to that law firm, obviously. So what I did is I tried to do my own patent. And I was writing the language, the drawings, and everything, because I certainly didn't trust anyone. And I went through this over and over. Every time you file the patent, you know, .com patents are a minimum of 5 years. It's a 2-year patent for a product, and so 2 years to get your patent process through. So I would have to file, and I'd wait 2 years or a year, and file again and wait another year. And I kept doing this over and over. And then one of the people at the patents office told me off the record, Derwin, everybody here at the patents office is rooting for you. You should be an attorney because you've done this so well, but you don't have the proper legal language written. Right. So then they said, we want to help you, but just know this, the patents office is not there to protect you. They're there to protect everyone. And they don't feel like anybody has the right to have the power of telling somebody who can use it and who can't. So they're working against you on your patent. But once you have your information set up in a language that they can't object anymore, that's how they grant you your patent.
And what about the background in the car business which influenced your approach to entrepreneurship and innovation? Because I think that's also a story which my viewers and audience would like to hear.
Well, the car business was something that really taught me a lot about being a professional. It changed the paradigm shift in the way I thought about business and how I looked at professionalism, but it also allowed me to understand and appreciate people, because you see all walks of life come into a dealership, and at the end of the day, they have a problem, and it's up to you, if you want to be successful in the car business, to actually help them fix their problem, and then the rest comes. I've been successful in the car business, and then it gets to a point where you feel like this is not your natural calling, and you have to figure out what your real true mission statement is. And I think that that's what happened with my business. I realized that this is what I needed to do. And I changed the way I thought or about my approach about what my mission is, in the sense that, you know, my kids asked me, they said, you know, we always see young people. You always see young people that are rich and are the new age thinkers. And I said, well, no, older people think like that too. They said, well, how come you never hear about them? I said, there's this thing called responsibility that takes place. So when you have responsibilities, you have to prioritize what's important. And at that point,
your energies is such that we have all got engrossed, and we are listening to you so carefully, because I think, you have a wonderful story to say.
Thank you.
And trust me, I think, we are all very, very inspired.
Well, it's very kind of you to say, because as I said, I'm very humbled to be with this panel with people that are such successful business people, such high thinkers. And for me to have such an elementary idea, that means a lot to me. But nevertheless, though, the mission for me is, the one thing I want my kids to be is proud. And I want them to know that their dad provided something that the public desperately needed, and I had the solution for it, and that's my mission.
Now, since you have talked about your kids, let me mention, you mentioned wanting to create a legacy for your daughter, yes, and be listed in the American Inventor book. How do you see Softside contributing to the legacy?
Well, first of all, I want to be in the Inventors Hall of Fame, and what really helped me to think that could possibly happen was to be a part of the Hall of Fame edition of Passion Vista.
Fantastic. So I think finally you could mate to it. So Darwin, I think we learned a lot from you, and I think your inspiring stories were Very fascinating. Now to end up and sum it up, I think looking ahead, what are your goals for Soft Side and how do you plan to expand its reach and household product?
The first thing I want to do is make sure that I reach out to big contracts. And the reason why is because it has to be done on some kind of much bigger level in order to be able to increase safety for the general public. It can't be done just simply from a website or a retail store. It's got to be something that's done in a way in which society understands and recognizes the importance of the protection of the elderly, those that need rehabilitation, those that have dementia or other illnesses, as well as in the hospitality community, you have the housekeeping staffs that are vulnerable to these things, as well as caregivers. Caregivers, a matter of fact, there's a television show in America that did a show that showed that caregivers are almost extinct. And the ones that are there, they're elderly and they barely make enough money and they live below the poverty line. So it's not something that people are striving to be, but it's something that's desperately needed. And you have caregivers that are putting themselves at risk by trying to reach over a tub to help someone with 100+ pounds get out of a tub. So showers don't work. We know that based on the state CDC's report. We know that you need somebody to assist, so why not give that extra protection and peace of mind to not just the patients, but the caregivers as well, which in turn leaves the employer of the caregiver from being open to litigation.
Perfect. I think that sums it up.
Absolutely.
And I think all three of you had fantastic journey so far, and I think the success which you have gained has a lot of persistence and hard work which you guys have put it across. So once again would like to thank you for giving this beautiful story and in terms of your journey to the beautiful audience. And I'm sure that there is a lot of things which you all can learn from them. But yes, to make the show more exciting, moving on, we have the next segment. And it's time for a fun challenge on Gusto with GD Season 3. We are putting up our guest with a tongue-twisting skill to the test in a segment called Tongue Twister. In this segment, I have given one play card to each one of you, which has two complex phrases, and you will have to say them as quickly as possible, because the game says it's called tongue twister. The faster and more accurately you can repeat the phrase, the better it is. So let's see who can twist their tongue the best. So are you all ready?
Yes.
Yes.
We have to be.
So let's start the tongue twisting challenge with our first guest, Mr. Vincent Allen.
All right.
So your first phrase is gushing with greatness, gusto with GD, guest gains, ground in guts, glory and gusto.
Gushing with greatness, gusto with GD's guest gain ground and guts, glory and gusto.
You have to repeat it at least thrice.
3 times?
Yeah.
Gushing with greatness, gusto with GD's guest gain ground and guts, glory and gusto. Gushing with greatness, gusto with GD's guest gain ground and guts, glory and gusto.
I'm sure he got this before.
This isn't a fair fight. Honestly, I feel bad for y'all. I've been in production for 30 years. I've done a lot of this.
Okay, so let's see the second one now.
The second one.
Fantastic. So let's move on to the second phrase from Mr. Vincent Allen. That is savvy shareholder. Okay, I've twisted my tongue. Savvy shareholder, share sharp strategies, striving for substantial shareholder satisfaction.
Yeah, so 3 times, yeah? Savvy shareholder sharp strategy. No, one more time. Savvy shareholder share sharp strategy, striving for substantial shareholder satisfaction. Savvy shareholder share sharp strategy, striving for substantial shareholder satisfaction. Savvy shareholder share sharp strategy, striving for substantial shareholder satisfaction.
My God, well done, well done, well done.
Guys, he's got the easiest script, I'm telling you.
That was a good job done. Now is the time for you, Miss Mamta Penani.
Oh my God, cooking food is easier than this.
So your first phrase is tenacious tech tycoon tirelessly tackle tough, tantalizing tech challenges, transforming technology. It's better you read it.
How is she supposed to do this if you can't even read it?
That's the reason I'm the host.
Okay, I'll give it an attempt. Tenacious tech tycoons tirelessly tackle tough, tantalizing tech challenges, triumphantly transforming technology trends.
Wow.
Tenacious tech tycoons tirelessly tackle tough, tantalizing tech challenges, triumphantly transforming technology trends. Tenacious tech tycoons tirelessly tackle tough, tantalizing tech challenges, triumphantly transforming technology trends.
My
Well
God.
done.
That was
Well
tough.
done.
That was tough, but you made the job easy.
Thank you.
Excellent. Now move on to your second phrase. The three twisted trees twist tightly around the twisting trail.
The three twisted trees twist tightly round the twisting trail. The three twisted trees The three twisted trees twiced tightly round the twisting trail. The three twisted trees twiced tightly round the twisting trail.
Wow. Good. Great job, Mamta.
Thank you.
So now it's the time for you, Darwin.
Okay, first one. Whispering winds weave whimsical words within the willow woods. Whispering winds weave whimsical words within the willow woods. Whispering winds weave whimsical words within the willow woods.
Whispering winds weave whimsical words within the willow woods.
As I said.
So okay, fantastic. Now moving on to your second phrase. Friendly fireflies flicker fancifully forming flickering fairy cycles.
Okay. Friendly fireflies.
Lot of fireflies already.
Oh my God! Now you got it. Friendly fireflies flicker fracturally, forming flickering fairy circles. Friendly fireflies flickering, fancifully forming flickering fairy circles. Friendly fireflies flickering, fancifully forming flickering fairy circles. Oh my gosh!
Getting the
I can say five fat fellas found French fries in the freeway.
Getting the patent was easier than this, I suppose.
Yes, absolutely.
So well, this was a fun tongue twisting challenge. I think we all had a blast, and I think a big round of applause to all our guests. So you have really made the show interesting now, because I think the business talks was quite interesting, but at the same point of time, since it's an entertainment talk show, I wanted to keep it very interesting, and fun elements should be there for the audience to be.
Well, I'm sure they'll find something to laugh at with me.
So can we move on to the next segment?
Absolutely.
So you're all ready and geared up?
With gusto.
Oh my God. So be inspired, be passionate, and we are moving on to our next segment. So we are moving on to our next segment. Again, it's very exciting. It was, very insightful discussing things with you and playing few games. But moving on, we are moving to a new segment which is called Agree to Disagree. So it's like you either agree. If you agree, you give me a thumbs up. And if you disagree, then you gives me a thumbs down. Okay?
Okay.
So I'll be just asking you, very simple. And I think, we'll start with asking few questions, and all of you will have to let me know whether you agree or disagree. Okay. So let's dive in right there. Entrepreneurs should prioritize work-life balance over company growth. You agree or you disagree? Okay, so we have Mamtaji who still disagree. Okay. So I think company growth is more important, prioritizing, right? But I think we have to be a mix. I think it's equally important for us to have a bridge of both.
I think the things that are important to you, you have to have balance. You can't just be all business, because if your personal life is not right, then everything else suffers.
Right. That's eventually going to catch up with you if you're at
So I have my own thoughts. I reserve my rights.
I'm curious as to why she thinks the way
Because
she does.
I always believe in
So
the
I think off
concept
the camera you can answer all
Right.
that. So moving on, networking is more important than having a unique business idea. Networking is more important than having a unique business idea. So again, mixed thoughts.
Sorry.
Okay, which is good. I think we all have rights to reserve our comments and other things, but I think you are all right. Moving on, artificial intelligence will significantly impact all industries in the next decade.
100%.
It's an easy question.
I think even my thumbs are up.
Thank you.
Okay, government regulation are a hindrance to business innovation. I knew that you are going to put the thumbs up. Yes. Okay. Entrepreneurs should be allowed to wear pajamas and tracksuit in the board meetings.
If you're the boss, you can do what you want.
Okay. Failure is an essential part of the entrepreneurial journey. You all agree. Successful entrepreneurship requires more luck than skill. Do you believe in luck or skill?
I don't believe in luck.
So skill.
Vincent is still
More luck than
thinking.
skill? No, I
Okay.
think it is more luck than skill. I think there's definitely some right place, right time.
You can explain both answers to be correct.
That's the reason we want the thought-provoking, answers. And I think my viewers will also have their own opinions on that, right? Diversity in the workplace leads to a better business outcome.
100%.
Very nice. So we all believe. Social media presence is crucial for the success of modern business. Do you really think social media is needed?
Yes.
Mixed.
Vince, how can you be so indecisive about social media being part of the social? Yes.
I said, yes, I definitely think it. In today's world, you can't, if you're not on social media, you're not in business.
Yes, Mutha, you should know.
Okay. Entrepreneurs should always seek external funding to grow their business.
Always.
Okay. So you both believe in external funding and you don't.
Well, I don't not believe in external funding, but I think that there are times when you want to maintain your equity.
Yeah, as of right now, I'm the same way. But as I said before, I tried to do this on my own before and almost lost everything. So it's always better, especially when I read books about entrepreneurs that are founding members of their businesses. They say it's always better to use other people's money.
Well, obviously, I'd rather spend your money than mine.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, there are times when you kind of just need to build it an inch at a time and get a prototype or whatever you're doing, make a couple of sales, etc., and keep moving forward. I think it's just case by case, right? It just depends on what you're doing.
I agree.
So thank you. I think you've all done a wonderful job by explaining to me what is thumbs up to you and what is thumbs down, right? So it was exciting, and I think we had a mixed reaction. Although I think it has to be, because each one of us is different. We think differently, and that is the reason I think we have reached to this success, right? So thanks to all your success. Now carrying on to our next segment, which is called Laugh Out Loud. Why? Because I want your lungs to get a little massage, right? So it's the time for us to laugh out loud, where our guest will showcase their wit and humor. So welcome to Laugh Out Loud segment, where you get an opportunity to showcase your comic talent in a series of entertaining scenarios. I will present you with some scenarios, and your task is to craft a humorous response or joke fitting for each situation. The segment promises to be both entertaining and insightful, offering a glimpse into your humorous side.
Wow.
So let's have a look at each other first. Who is going to be the naughty one among us all? Okay, so shall I start with the hint?
Okay.
Imagine this, okay? Imagine you are on a video call with potential client and your background accidentally reveals your quirky hobby. How would you handle the situation with grace and humor? Let's hear your best innovation in this. Improvisation maybe. So each one of you.
Okay, same question.
Yeah, same question. Let's start with you.
Okay, please repeat that one more time because I want to be in the moment. If you can, I
If you
apologize.
are on a video call with potential client and your background accidentally reveals your quirky hobby, something which you were doing earlier, right? So how will you deal with that critical situation, and you will laugh it out loud so that the other person is not,
I would just simply, I think it's good to be able to laugh at yourself. And I think that's the best way to play it off. Honesty is always the best. When you try to cover something up, I think that they see it and it becomes a big story after the conversation. So it's best just to accept it and just laugh about it. And it's just like anything else. Sometimes you got to take the pie in the face.
I'll say, oops, that wallpaper is wrong. Let me just correct that.
oh wow, Mamta has a beautiful solution to this, right?
So me, I would be funny about it because I would be sarcastic about it because I'm a New Yorker, so it's ancestral sarcasm. So I would literally say, well, you can have confidence to sign with us that we're going to drive to your KPIs because I really know how to crack the whip. But, so
you're going to be, dealing
Making
with that
business
situation.
out of that.
well, right, no, because I mean, like, right, the point was right that it's revealing a hobby that's maybe a little naughty, right? And so it's like, what's the little whips and chains between?
So there's no harm. There's no harm. So you will be open to it, right? I think that's nice. I think now there's a beautiful scenario. Okay, so I want you to listen it nicely. You are at a sports event and you accidentally cheer for the wrong team, much to the amusement of everyone around you. What do you say to show good sportsmanship and then still laugh it out?
My bad.
And how about you, Mamta?
I'm thinking.
Mamta is still thinking. Over to you.
So you accidentally cheer for the wrong sports team? Okay. Maybe I've had a few too many.
That's a good one, actually.
I look around like this and that. Hey, I'm sorry.
That's a diplomatic way of handling. Fine. So I find you quite diplomatic for that matter, right?
She has to be with what she does.
I'm trying to figure out how you accidentally cheer for the wrong sports team. Because where I'm from, if you cheer for the Red Sox, like
You're gone.
that's the fate worse than death. You can't go home.
I said,
you can't
very true.
literally, there are chants that this is a family show, so I won't say them, but that start with the word F. I'll just say that. It's not okay. It's not okay. It's not okay.
So lastly, you accidentally send a message meant for your significant other saying, let's be naughty tonight to a colleague. Okay, so what do you say or do to diffuse the embarrassment and explain the mistake?
To a colleague? Oh my gosh. I guess I would have to say, well, you know what I'm getting ready to do tonight?
That's a good one. In fact, has it happened? In case? So you've all played very safe, right?
Absolutely.
So you always double check.
Absolutely.
I again would lead with humor and say, looks like I'm not the only one getting screwed tonight.
So that's a good one. In fact, I think, over to you, Mamtaji.
I'll say that that's a demo class for how to file a posh case.
Wow, I think wonderful. So what a exciting game it was, and I think it took out your funny side, and we all laughed out loud. Yes. But I think now, thank you. But I think now to carry on and to bring into the last segment, the next segment we are dedicated, which is to exploring the guts, glory, and gusto of making a difference. Today, we are diving into the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals 2030, and we have an exciting challenge lined up for your guest. It's the time for the Think Tank Challenge. So guys, it's the time for the Think Tank Challenge. You will be presented with a hypothetical scenario related to one of the United Nations SDGs, and you will have to come up with an innovative solution. So are you guys ready?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
After the ha ha ha, it's the time to do hoo hoo hoo. And try to apply your brains, right? So today's scenario focuses on SDGs 11, which is sustainable cities and communities. And here is the scenario. Imagine you are a city planner facing rapid urbanization and growing population. How would you design the city to ensure sustainable development, access to basic services, and a high quality of life for all the residents? Guest, you have 5 minutes to brainstorm your ideas, and your time starts now. So as we said, today's scenario focuses on SDG 11. Let me show what SDG 11 talks about. So this is for the audience, and I think I have already shared the cue to you. So over to you guys now.
I guess I'll start off. So we were talking about building a sustainable city or community, and then we'll just go down the line. But my sense of it is that you have to build it from an equity place, which means building infrastructure that's freely and easily accessible to all. So that means internet, electricity, easily available mass transit that is not at cost. Right? We've seen this in cities in Europe where they give train access to everybody for free, and that has a really positive impact. Same with the internet. So that's where I would start.
Okay. I may like to talk about the water, because I've felt and understood that the next World War, it is said, would be fought on water. So I've understood that water should be rationed.
If not food, water.
Absolutely. So in India, still we have the concept of free water. These two gentlemen will not know this, but in India, water usage is still free, and I feel it should be rationed, so that being the resource for the entire community, it should not be only available for few in umpteen tons and gallons. It should be equally available. So I feel going forward, government should try and ration water, or maybe charge the water usage, so that we put water to best of
So
use.
water meter,
yeah,
is
absolutely
the solution, maybe.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
That's exactly how it works.
That's how it works in the U.S. You drink a lot, you use a lot of water, it's gonna show up on next month's bill, and that's when people start turning it down, when they got to pay the price.
And India, we just lose the tap, etc.
I said diversity because, if you put people equally in different parts of the city, equally and fairly, then I think you'll get better treatment in the areas where it's low income, low housing, and poverty-stricken areas. You have that because the reason that happens is because the government puts all those people there with the intent to leave them there and let the city and let that area just fall apart, and then blame it on the people just for being there. When the affluent neighborhoods get the help and the subsidies from the government, and they leave these people out, because everyone should have, I think they all have a budget where they all have that money dispersed evenly. It's just not being dispersed evenly because you're putting people where you don't want to help them. You don't want to give them access to transportation and other things. But if you can take those people that are coming into your city and put them in places evenly, then that's not going to happen, because they won't let that happen.
So in other words, diversity is the key.
Is the key.
Thank you, wonderful. I think we had a fun-filled entertainment talk show, and that is where we talk. It's all about the guts, glory, and gusto.
And let's say that gusto together.
Oh yes, of course. So it's all about the guts, glory, and
Gusto!
Fantastic! What a beautiful evening it was, and I think we all enjoyed, and it was fun, entertainment, and insightful conversation. I guess you all will agree.
Absolutely.
So remember, it's not just about talking, it's about talking action for a better world. Until next time, stay inspired, stay passionate.